What is going on, beautiful people? My name is Finesse. I'm with my man Scar here. Welcome back to another episode of Sub and Tug, presented by GoldBoys.com. And we are on the GoldBoys YouTube channel. It's been a little minute since we've done one of these, but we're back. And there's no better time than for an amazing card. UFC 320 goes down Saturday night. Pereira versus Ankalaev, part 2. So a great rematch in the main event and a great card to break down top to bottom. Scar, how you feeling, my brother?
It's gonna be a good one, man. We haven't done one in a while, but I'm glad we're back for one of the most entertaining fight cards that we've had in a minute. So let's kick it off. We got a lot of chalk heavy favorites, but let's see if there's some money to be made on it.
Yes, sir. Excited to break down another card, man. So we're gonna try to get you guys in, get you guys out as quick as possible. All the info you guys need to help cash some tickets for an amazing UFC 320 card. So, Scar, man, without further ado, let's get right into it.
Let's get it.
First fight of the night, Veronica Hardy versus Brogdon Walker. Scar just mentioned chalky favorites. We're opening the card with a massive WMMA favorite. Hardy sitting around minus 825. Come back on Walker around plus 575. Scar, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, every fight after this one is going to be amazing. They're giving Veronica Hardy a layup here, in my opinion. She just needs to fight smart, take care of business. Don't have a lot on this. Fanatics is dropping a nice line. Fight round 3 to start and her to win. I believe it was in the minus 200s or less. It was like minus 180. And then obviously round 2 to start was minus 250. So kind of like that to pair it with something. But outside of that, I mean, I just feel like she's going to, it's going to roll to like a 30-27. Or about maybe one judge does a 29-28. I think Veronica Hardy by unanimous decision. I think that was like minus 135 is not a bad look either. So, what about you?
Yeah, 100% agree. I mean, I think Veronica Hardy's for real. It's not even like, of course, I'm not loving. She's minus 825 WMMA, but I still want to try to invest in the complete mismatch that this is. You know what I'm saying? Like they're on to it. The odds pretty much dictate that, but it's a complete mismatch. Veronica Hardy is going to be so much better every single where that this fight goes. So I 100% agree. I had that written down too. Hardy unanimous decision. Hardy minus 3.5 is like minus 192. Like I'm comfortable with that. Cutting a minus 900 down to that price, and you're just looking for what I think is going to happen. Just dominance, whether it's on the feet, on the mat. Like I said, Veronica is just so much better everywhere. Real skills, real process. And, if you're feeling a little freaky, Veronica round 2 is 12-1. Veronica round 3, 19-1. Maybe throw a sub in there, some sub rounds. Those are huge numbers. So maybe little sprinkles on there, but I definitely want to find a way to invest in Hardy. Just complete mismatch, man. It's just predatory matchmaking to open the card. But I like that. I would say best probably unanimous decision, like you said, or minus 3.5 with some late finish props.
For sure.
All right, let's move on. Next fight, Ramiz Brahima versus Austin Vanderford. Austin, sizable favorite. Minus 290, minus 300. Come back on Ramiz, plus 245 to plus 250. Scar, how you feeling about this one?
Yeah, this is one of the fights that I don't have a lot on, but I am looking at Ramiz potentially at that plus 5.5. Don't know if I'm going to dip into it, but I feel like he's tough enough to survive on that one. You got the over at minus 270 for the over 1.5. I feel like for Ramiz, he has, in my opinion, a decent opportunity to take at least one round on a fight that could potentially go to the distance. Vanderford's good. He obviously just knocked out another good person on this card, Nikolai. But I feel like Ramiz is just going to put up a little bit more resistance here. And in terms of dogs, I think he is actually maybe one of them that, I think might shine out of, all these faves. I think, he's at plus 250. It's not a bad look. And, his KO prop or even his by decision prop they're up there. Ramiz by points is plus 750. And then, it's definitely worth a look in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not going to lie. I don't have the best read on this fight. I'm not in love with anything. I think it's a very volatile fight. I could see a bunch of different ways this goes down. Ramiz hurting Vanderford early, like we've seen in a lot of his prior fights. Vanderford obviously taking advantage of a cardio edge later in this fight and kind of dominating. I could just see so many ways this fight goes. But, you touched on it, man. These Ramiz KO props are kind of ridiculous, man. Round 1, round 2 KO is 16-1. Like, it feels like a chunk of his equity, right? Hurting Austin and at least giving us chances to cash that, man. Like Rami's round 1 KO is 22-1. Like this guy is, I mean, he's made massive improvements. He's at a new gym, has made massive improvements over his last 2 or 3 fights. But before that, he was a round 1 merchant. Like that's what everybody knew him as, a round 1 merchant. And now you give me 22-1. Like I don't necessarily think he's processed subbing Vanderford. So 22-1 on round 1 KO seems hella fucking wide. You know, we've seen Vanderford drop and hurt and finished early in fights several times before. Hurt by baby jabs, hurt by baby hooks. And Ramiz could somewhat crack on the feet. You know, he's not the most processed on the feet, but he could definitely land a shot. So, you know, I backed Vanderford in his last fight. I'm just, now he's minus 300. Like, I'm not looking to buy high on a guy like Vanderford, you know? Questionable chin, questionable process, questionable.
A lot better when he was even money, you know, against Nikolai.
Yeah, like that's I wanna buy low and sell high. You know, I don't wanna buy high Vanderford with a dominant finish, and now he's minus 300 against a guy that's maybe trending upwards. You know, maybe starting to find a groove in his career. So that's about it, man. That's what stuck out, just KO props. But like I said, I don't have no action. I think volatile fight, so definitely lean Dover pass at this big number.
For sure.
All right, keep it pushing. This is an interesting fight. You mentioned Nikolai on this card. Punahele Soriano going against Nikolai Veretennikov. Punahele, another sizable favorite, man. Minus 315, minus 330-ish. Comeback on Veretennikov, plus 270, plus 250, plus 270 range. I'll kick this one off because I don't really have a lot to say. I like Punahele in this fight. You know, he's a massive favorite. I just don't know how in love I am with laying a price like this. You know, I was looking at some props, if I can get to them super quick. You know, Punahele, if I'm not mistaken, is yet to have a UFC sub, and I think that's why we're kind of still getting these numbers. The sub has been getting hit over the last couple days. It was like 9.5 to 1. Now I'm seeing 7.5, 8 to 1s. I still like that number, man. Like, it's bound to happen, right? One day, probably before he retires, for him to snatch up a sub. And why not this matchup? You know, we know at this point, I feel like a lot of people who watch the sport kind of know what we're getting with Nikolai. Somewhat talented striker, you know, can hit you from a lot of different angles. Very dangerous kicking game. I would say pretty good cardio overall, but, you know, low volume on the feet and a gaping fucking hole in the wrestling and grappling, man. And when he's on bottom, it's just not good scenes, you know, very dark times when he's on bottom. So, you know, if this fight plays out on the feet, can Punahele not knock him the fuck out? You know, Punahele got a lot of power in his hands, man. So I just think it's a really good matchup for Punahele. I think, you know, yes, it's scary. A guy like Punahele has shown the holes in his games the holes in his game, many times in the past. Whether that's some durability questions, whether that's fight IQ questions. So that's the scary part, you know, laying this type of price. But, you know, I think there's so many paths for him to cover a price like this. Being, you know, wrestling to a dominant decision, wrestling to a submission finish, wrestling to a TKO finish, the ref pulling them off, or just, you know, really hurting this dude on the feet, man. So, yeah, I like the matchup for Punahele. It's just about, again, finding value. Like, I don't know how, like, enticed I am, you know, putting Punahele minus 300 into a parlay. So I'm thinking more along the lines of, you know, Punahele 1-2 props, Punahele 1-2 KO props, more along those lines, and take advantage of what I think is a good spot. What about you, Scar?
Yeah, it's a tough one. In terms of, like, I like Punahele earlier in the week when he wasn't, getting above minus 300. It's coming down a little bit. My concern here, Punahele's looked great at this weight class. Like, he's doing a good job here. But, it wasn't too long ago where we have, you know, him just wanting to stand and bang and not taking the path of least resistance. And, again, he has a clear option of what he can do in this fight. It is right there in front of him. It's take him down. But will he? If he doesn't take him down, having a striking contest with Nikolai, you know, we could be looking exactly like what happened in the last one, you know, against Prado, you know, where it's just, you know, what are we watching here? And if he doesn't get going and to put, you know, pressure, which he also, if he can be on his lead foot, you know, and be aggressive, because that Punahele will roll through this and it'll make it easy. You know, you know, I think he's even money for a finish. Don't mind that, but I can't trust him at this point to, you know, outside of just, like, you know, pairing him with the money line, in my opinion. I think the KO is there though in round one, as you mentioned. But if he, it's kind of like what we saw with Sterling last week, where it's like, will he show urgency? Will he show like to get the finish, or will he just play with his food? A -3.5. I wish that was like closer to even money. I think that would be an amazing option, but it's at -195. So it's a tough one. I think, outside of pairing his money line with something like that we're going to see later, I'm going to go over, like, I feel like there's a lot of nice legs with, Basharat or, Zalal fighting durable fighters. I feel like, this one's just going to be, for me at least, I'm just going to be pairing his money line with something.
All right, I dig it. Let's move on. Patchy Mix making his sophomore outing in the UFC, going against, I believe it's Jakob Wicklax, I think is how it's pronounced. I'm pretty sure. I don't want to disrespect the man's bloodline, but that's what I'm gonna go with for now. Patchy Mix, another sizable favorite, man. Sitting around -330, -350. He's definitely still getting steamed the last couple of days. Comeback on Jakob is +270. Scar, I mean, for me, this one is pretty simple. I'm not gonna break this one down a ton. I think Patchy's just simply better everywhere. I think we're getting a real Patchy, man. Last time we didn't see the real Patchy, and it's what I was talking about earlier. These buy low spots, right? Everybody's hating on Patchy. Everybody just, if you ask especially these casual fans out here, Patchy's just a trash can now, and it's utterly ridiculous, man. Patchy is an extremely skilled fighter, and for one reason or another, I think it was a poor performance, but I also think Mario Batista is that fucking good, so those two things combined just led to an absolute dog shit performance from Patchy. But I think we get the real Patchy here, and it's an absolute heavenly matchup to do it against, man. This guy Jakob is not good in my opinion, and what makes it even worse for him is in a lot of his fights he wants to rely on his grappling and wrestling, and this is not the matchup you want to do it in. So Patchy, I mean, better on the feet too. Patchy's not a fucking Golden Glove boxer by any means, but pretty good jab, good teep kick, good calf kicks from Patchy. So I think he's stronger on the feet, more durable, more power, better on the ground, better everywhere this fight is gonna go. So I have Patchy in one of my much bigger bets this week. I like Patchy by finish +150. I like Patchy KO sitting around like 10-1. I think that can happen a variety of different ways. Like I said, I think he could hurt him on the feet. I think he could wrist rod him on the ground and just pound his face in until the ref pulls him off. I can't believe that number is 10-1. So I think it's most likely a sub, and I think that's what a lot of people will be playing. But I'm okay being a what do you call that? I can never fucking contrarian. There you go, contrarian, and playing Patchy by KO. I think there's some pass for that, but easy Patchy spot for me. I don't mind parlaying him, and like I said, I played him relatively big. What about you, Scar?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is, if Patchy Mix loses this fight to a regional guy, essentially from Poland, he should not be in the UFC. He should cut himself. Like, there's like no excuse. I mean, if this guy loses to, you watch Jacob's, tape and highlights, he's sub or bust. He's great at what he does, and when he's fighting guys that are not his level, and he can just get him out the ring with the subs he likes. But Patchy's done it. He's been a much better, credentialed grappler throughout his career. So if they do cancel each other out, and Patchy now wants to just throw hands like he did in the last fight, then he should, that knockout's live, or it probably goes to the decision and he just like coasts. But what I think's going to happen is I think Jakob's going to try and test his grappling, and he's going to then push himself into very vulnerable situations. And I think that, round one sub is going to be very live, or just the sub in general at +210. Those are the ones I'm looking at. Patchy -3.5, I think, is just an amazing number as well. I believe, if I'm correct, is it still at -150? Yeah, it's still
-150.
Yeah, I think that's a great leg. You can pair it with something, that's where you pair it with the Soriano, or you pair it with the Hardy, where you can kind of trim it down, or something like that. But, I mean, I don't see Patchy Mix just winning a 29-28 here. I think the finish is very alive in both ways, and then if it's not, and he can't finish him because they're canceling it out, well, at least you get, those 30-27s you can fall back on. Again, I think this is Patchy all day. I think we're getting a gift. I think everyone sees that Mario Batista, but Mario Batista and Jakob are nowhere close. I mean, the movement, the striking, the everything that he saw with Batista, he will not see anything close to with Jakob. So this is one of my more confident picks of the card. Again, Patch, he just needs to have a brain. He has a full camp this time. Hopefully he knows what's in front of him and he takes this seriously and he gets back to what he's, been doing so great over there in the PFL.
Yeah, I think that's how it goes too. I think Jakob kind of panic shoots, and Patchy just wraps him up, man, and easy out at the office. I don't even think he's gonna try to like process grapple him. I think he's just gonna be kind of like lost, like whether it's from Patchy's pressure or him getting hurt, on the feet or something like that, and he shoots, and then he's waking up, a couple minutes later. All right, I like it. Let's move on. Macy Shison versus Yana Santos. Macy minus 200. Come back on Yana plus 170. Scar, what do you think?
Yeah, this one, I just kind of like the over. I do think we're kind of getting a little discount here on Macy, though. But women's MMA, I don't want to dive into too many at women's MMA bets on this card when we have so much value elsewhere. But yeah, I think Macy by decision. I haven't got there to laying a lot on it, but I feel like that or Macy, most SIG strikes I believe FanDuel had, I think all those are going to be right there for the taking. So I think this is a much better matchup for her than the Vieira fight that we just saw her. So again, it's one of those ones where if you do Macy and maybe over 5.5 minutes to get closer to even or something like that, I'm going to like. But I think this is Macy as long as she can just stick to what she does well and not let her brain get in the way of this one.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Good matchup for Macy, in my opinion. We've seen Yana just look like an absolute fucking fish off her back. So if Macy can get in those positions, that's obviously how she dominates. But, laying this kind of price and there being any questions about fight IQ, especially in WMMA, is just not a recipe for success, in my opinion. We got to be able to trust Macy to consistently make good decisions, and I just can't do that. So I'd rather take some small stabs, like Macy by KO. Macy by sub is sitting around, plus 500. If she gets in dominant positions, I think she can wrap up a sub, man. I think she's pretty processed on the mat and, opportunistic enough to snatch some up versus a girl that is a bright belt, not a white belt, a fucking bright belt on the mat. So that's really it, man. I don't know. I want to throw up in my mouth thinking about parlaying her. I'm just not interested.
I mean, we haven't got the takedown props, but Macy and
I was gonna say, what's up with DraftKings, man? Like I was looking for a nice little 1.5 line, and they just said, nah, you're not gonna get any lines ever.
So DraftKings has been doing this thing where we're not. I mean, tomorrow we might get only positive takedowns, so they've gone away with the over under on the prelims.
Yeah. They're
kind of losing their value there.
Yeah, but not much for me. We can move on. Daniel Santos, good fight here, man. Daniel Santos versus Ju Sang Yu. Daniel Santos they're getting steam, little by little, step by step. You're getting a pricier number on Santos right now. Minus 145, minus 150. Come back on Yu is plus 125, plus 130. I'll kick this one off, man. Like I like the Santos side, but to be honest, it seems kind of public. Like it seems like everybody and their mother is on him, and now I'm getting the worst of the price. He was plus 100, plus 105, plus 110 about a week ago, and now, laying juice. But, with that said, I think it's a good matchup, man. Like, it's another spot where, people are talking about you like he's God, after knocking out Jekka Surrogate, who's, probably Mount Rushmore, worst to ever do it. I don't know what you would say. I know he got a finish in the UFC, but holy ass, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's one of the worst to ever do it, starches him. It's a beautiful KO. And that's kind of what he does best, man. It seems like he has kind of a little bit of that mythical power in his hands. He seems pretty fast, on the feet, pretty precise on the feet. But, Santos, I feel like just has the bag to deal with that kind of stuff. We've seen him hurt. We've seen Santos hurt and drop, but his recoverability seems on point. His cardio, I really trust. And I know he's up a weight, and there's this whole, weight problems now. Now they're fighting at catch weight, and I think it was requested by Santos. So you're moving up a weight class and you're still having trouble with weight. But, we've seen that over and over again, that more so than not be an advantage for these guys. We think like, tough weight cut, and a guy like this who maybe wants to wrestle, saying, hey, let me see if I can finagle and get a catch weight without having to sacrifice some of my purse. And that's exactly what happened. So, I think there's real pass for Willie Cat here, man. Survive a storm early on, be able to eat some of these shots on the feet. I think he can grapple. I think he can wrestle in this fight. I think he can hang on the feet if he's not getting deaded in one of these first, exchanges in a couple minutes. And I think he can outpace this guy, man. Willie Cat does not fuck off. He is going to be in your face, constantly on the front foot, and the cardio to do that for 15 minutes. So that's going to break a lot of guys, man. And I think this is a matchup where he can do that. So I lean that side, but like I said, I'm not 100% sure if I'm a play that. So I'm looking at some Willie Cat late round props. Like what do we have now? Willie Cat in round 2 is 10-1. Willie Cat in round 3 16-1. Like those interest me a bit. So maybe just play those and stay away from the money line. But something along those lines. I would lean that way as of right now. I lean the favorite. I like the spot for Daniel Santos. What about you, Scar?
Yeah, I mean, this one's not one of my most confident ones. I do feel like with Santos's durability and everything like that, one line that did kind of stick out for me at least was you by points at plus 330. We were just talking about contrarian things there. I feel like with you, I don't think he's going to knock out Santos. Santos has never been finished, to my knowledge, and he's got a tough chin, man. So I feel like with you, I think he's going to come out hot. I think Santos is a great play. I think if you want to get better odds on him, it's to wait that first round and just kind of survive whatever that storm is. And then I do think Santos is going to win round 3, so, I think it's going to come down to round 2. So at plus 330 odds, I mean, I feel like, can he win round 2? I think there's value there. Outside of that, I think I'll just be sticking to the live, Santos look. If it's like plus 200 or higher, or if it gets even higher, I think we saw that with, who was that? On the IRA or English card, Oki versus Mason Jones, where Oki catches Mason Jones. And then suddenly you get Mason Jones at plus.
Why you had to remind me about that, bro? Oh my god, bro.
So you get him at plus 500, and you're like, oh my god. So you run to the kiosk there, and you place that live, and boom, suddenly it just flips the other way. And I mean, talk about a roller coaster. I think we could see something similar here. I think it's going to be a very back and forth, volatile first round. But I just feel like it somehow still will go the distance. And if it doesn't, I think maybe round 2, round 3 might get a little sketchy for you as well. So I think we're kind of on the same page there. And I think
who for me?
You said what?
Who for me?
Well, no, you like Santos to come.
No, you said it's gonna get sketchy for you. You mean me?
Oh, it's gonna get
you
for
you or
you.
me? I don't know.
You're saying you.
Yeah, and fight is favored to go to distance. So we're talking about all this, volatility and all of that, but the books still do favor it to go to distance. So interested in there. All right, let's move on. Fareed Basharat versus Chris Gutierrez. Fareed, massive favorite, minus 500. Come back on Chris Gutierrez, plus 375. Whenever you talk about the Basharat brothers, people like to say, oh, Fareed is the better brother. I don't really like that shit. I think it's disrespectful, even though it is kind of true. So, we're getting I think Fareed is very skilled, man. I think he's the real deal. Just elite skills wherever the fight goes. Elite wrestling, elite chain wrestling, elite cardio, elite durability, elite grappling, elite striking. I mean, I'm not just going to glaze the man for 5 straight minutes, but you guys get the point. So, now he's getting, a test, I would say. I think an appropriate test. Chris Gutierrez, been in the UFC for a hot minute now. UFC wins and can be a tough puzzle, if you don't possess the skills to necessary to pass a test like Chris Gutierrez. But like I said, if the glazing wasn't enough, I think Fareed has those skills to pass this test. So, he's minus 500. Is no hot takes. It doesn't take a rocket science to pick a minus 500. So I'm not gonna yap about it for forever. But for me, it's like, how does Fareed cover this price? I don't want to sweat. And I feel like with these Fareed brothers, I'm always sweating or losing, and I don't like that. So. Yeah, I just don't know. That's my only thing. That's what makes it kind of tough for me. I'm not seeing any props that really stick out, but I guess Fareed can wrestle and dominate. We've seen Gutierrez be way too comfortable playing off his back, and actually, I did play I believe I did play Fareed already. I think I have Fareed. I think I have Fareed sub decision. Fareed sub or decision is -310, and I think I have that parlayed with Patchy. I believe that's what it is, and I believe I hammered that. And then if we go to Fareed 2-3 sub 10-1 is what I played as well. So, I mean, probably the only path for him to cover a price like this is just grappling, out grappling this man and just dominating as this fight gets later on. So maybe he gets takedowns in round 1 and kind of just rides it out and starts to zap the fast twitch of Chris Gutierrez, and then just straight up fucking process subs him in rounds 2 or rounds 3. So at 10-1, I poked on that. But yeah, love the spot for Fareed. Love Fareed in general. And I think he wins this fight. What about you, bro?
So, yeah, I mean, you never want to lay a -500 on a fight that's going to probably go to decision. You're just asking to put your, hope in these judges, and that's just not something as you want to talk about sweating. We've seen it. We've been screwed by it before. At the same time, -3.5, don't love it either. I think Chris could easily steal a round. So those kind of are off the table. I really wish this was one of the fights where you could do like Chris 30 strikes or 40 strikes and then Basharat to win and then like round 2 to start, because I feel like that would get us to like -150 or -200. But we can't do that here. Fanatics has a great line to pair it with something. -250 and round 2 to start. I don't think DraftKings is too far off. I think that's a great way to cut it down in half. Chris has been subbed, I think, once in his career. I mean, I think, and never been KO'd. I don't think Fareed's gonna, KO him. I think the sub could be live, but at the same time, I feel like if Fareed's dominating on the feet, kind of just gonna be faster, I don't know if he's gonna even want to, go down that path. So, I mean, Fareed by unanimous decision, I think, when we talk
-135.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be your closest thing to kind of, get it down. I don't see a split really happening here, but I would look at that. Or you can go your route, that I do like as well, or the round 2 route, and just pair it with something else. I love the Zalal, same thing, round 2 to start. We're gonna mention that. I'm gonna mention that later, and then obviously we got Patchy mix as well. Or the Veronica Hardy leg. I feel like, you have these certain fighters you're gonna see on this card that don't have the finishing ability early on, so they're more of attrition finishing, and I feel like that you can pair these fighters together with each other and kind of make it a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah, I like it. On the same side there. I like the unanimous decision too. I was looking at that -135. I like that a lot. Like if you play that, bigger, and then play maybe Fareed 2-3 sub, which is, in my opinion, his only finish equity, I think you can kind of hedge your bet either way and profit either way. So I like that. All right, next fight. Edmund Shabazian going against Andre Muniz. Shabazian -300, -310. Andre Muniz, comeback on him is +260, +275. I hate this fight. I'm never laying this type of price on Edmund. It's props or nothing for me. They're making me want to play Muniz, bro. Like, if you hear people listen, if you listen to people talk about this fight, whether it's on Twitter, any content you guys consume, 99% of people are talking about Muniz like he's just an absolute fucking trash can, no equity in this fight at all. But the fact of the matter is he's +275. He's a much better grappler than Edmund is. Much better grappler. He is a world-class grappler. So we've seen Edmund make devastating mistakes, get extremely tired. Now, Muniz is a gasser himself. I'm not saying Muniz has great cardio, but if Muniz gets to dominant positions, it's a lot easier to maintain cardio like that. So let's not pretend like Edmund is the smartest, box of juice in the tool shed. You know what I'm saying? Like, Edmund is not... You can't trust Edmund at these prices to make good decisions. So I do think Edmund wins this fight. I do think Edmund wins this fight by finish. It's just about, like, how to find value in this fight. I think that's the way that it happens. But do I think that happens 75% of the time? No, I think it's very likely that, Edmund parlay backers are, puckering their butthole and just hoping, that Edmund doesn't death gas, or, hoping that Edmund can survive some pretty terrible spots. So that's my thoughts. Overall, I hate the fight. I would lean Muniz at this price on the money line. Maybe try to find Edmund KO won, but I think that price was pretty disgusting last time I looked at it. I'm just not really interested. What about you, bro?
Yeah, I mean, at DraftKings, I think if you're going to play Edmund, you have two ways, and I would ladder them, essentially. You can do round one, round two on DraftKings with the SGP. It puts you at minus 125. I think that's, you're even money. I would say that makes me way more comfortable. Edmund, I think, is only won 2 decisions, and we just saw that last fight against, I believe it was Petrosky, and that was just a weird fight. That's not going to happen here, in my opinion, with Muniz. I mean, it's going to be a car crash. If you really want value, I feel like his round 1 KO prop is, let me look at it here. I think it was like plus 180.
Yeah, it's disgusting, bro.
Yeah, plus 175. That round 2 at plus 420, though, is not bad. But shifting over to Andre Muniz, if you're ever betting on an Edmund Shabazian fight, that round 2 prop or round 3 is, I mean, I think the KO's live too. I mean, he could just be on the ground and smashing his head in from him being death gas, and he doesn't even need a sub.
It's 14-1 the KO, bro. Edmund could just quit, bro.
And then we got, I mean, just round 2 is plus 1,300, round 3 is plus 1,800. If you're gonna be putting it, I'm not putting Edmund in any parlays, I'll tell you that much. Not trusting in that. I do like violence though. Round 3 not to start at minus 240. I think is a good parlay piece. I just feel like it's either Edmund gets him out or Andre comes back. And I mean, another thing that is crazy, Edmund's not a slouch on the ground. Maybe Andre gasses a little bit. You never know how these fights happen. But I did think this was kind of crazy. If you scroll down on the odds, Shabazian by sub is also kind of nuts too. Like, I know Andre is a crazy guy, but I couldn't believe how high those odds were. Shouldn't have.
Not subbing Andre Muniz, bro.
But hey, Brandon Allen did it, and I mean Brandon Allen, bro. Like, I could see some weird exchange, but it would require Andre to just quit, and like
a death. Anything can happen when you death gas. So I give
or it's one of those weird ones where he's like just knocked out silly on the ground and he's pounding him, and for some reason goes for a rear naked, type thing. We saw that with Tom Nolan last week, where it's like, okay, yep, that's great. Yeah, you're just gonna do that for no reason when you have Charlie Campbell in full mount almost. Love it. But I think this is violence all day. If you're don't touch Edmund minus 330. If that's just not the move, I think you bet Edmund in violence. That's what he does. And then, I think even Edmund in under 7.5 is plus 120. I think that's good too. So.
Yeah, it just seems like the perfect spot, right? Like, Edmund's coming off, 2 wins against, so-so competition, and now he's minus 350, and it just seems like the most obvious sell high spot in the world. Like,
years ago, Andre Muniz would have been a favorite in this fight too. That's the crazy part.
Yeah, I mean, like, Edmund usually cleans up people that he's more skilled in, and I think overall as a fighter at this point in his career, he's more skilled than Andre Muniz, and he's usually winning those fights and getting beat by guys that are better than him. But it is just about how those fights are going down, and the decisions that he's making and the quitting that he's doing. Like that's what it boils down to. So, like, it's just,
if Muniz doesn't win that split against Park, he hasn't won since July of 22 against Uriah Hall. And
that's what everybody's gonna see, and it's like, oh, how could we bet this guy? He's ass, and that's pretty much what I've been hearing all week. Those are the spots, Daddy likes to take a little sprinkle. You know what I'm saying, and just see what happens. But
I wonder also if he Edmund doesn't get him out after round 1, that Andre live line might be like plus 500, plus 600 maybe. That might be a great look too. Yeah,
for sure. All right, let's move on. I imagine this one is going to be fairly quick. Atiba Gautier versus Tristan Vines. Tristan Vines stepping in super short notice, and poor little Tank. You know what I'm saying? Like he's just, it's not even fair, man. Like, shout out to him. You got, you got some courage, man. Like you got some courage. I give you that. So, long story short, Atiba's minus 2,000. I didn't even say the odds. Atiba's minus 2,000. Literally minus 2,000. He's gonna knock this dude the fuck out. We've seen this guy hurt, wobbled by absolute, cans. Cans. I don't like to be disrespectful, but just guys that are not real fighters, I don't think, in my opinion, and have no future in the sport, those are the guys that are hurting him and knocking him out. You know what I'm saying? So Atiba is a real prospect, like Mini Ngannou, like a real prospect in his division. One of the scariest guys currently in the UFC, and I think he's just gonna add to that lore, you know, on Saturday night. So I find no value in this fight. I'm just gonna watch, you know, this guy catch a body and move on. So yeah, what about you, bro? Any hot takes?
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be a murder.
Wait, so you're telling me you're not taking plus 1,000 on Tristan Vines, bro? What are you doing? That's the sharp side.
I'm not one of the crazy guys here. This is just gonna be. I wonder if they give us an SGP, because I mean, I think Atiba in over 60 seconds might be like, you know, it might be minus 300. Round 1 KO is minus 240. I don't think I've ever seen a round 1 KO be that crazy. I think you could probably just do round 1 KO instead of, and you'll get both sides. I think it's the same price. That's crazy. I mean, his round, dude, oh my god, I can't even speak here. Atiba by KO is minus 900 on FanDuel.
Well, the under 1.5 is like minus 900.
It's 825. I've never seen.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, so. Yeah. Watch, you know, it's funny, if Atiba's smart, he just pulls Malik and just stalls out the fight and finishes and bets on his over and just cashes round 2 or round 3. Oh man, yeah, this is just enjoy the fight, move on, get ready, you know, use a bathroom break after, you know, it's done in 2 minutes, and you know.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's move on. Next fight, Joe Pyfer against Abus Magomedov. Joe Pyfer, sizable favorite, minus 245, minus 250. Come back on a boost, plus 215. Scar, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a weird one. I'm surprised Joe Pyfer is this much of a favorite. I feel like Abus has been, you know, he's a weird fighter to, you know, watch. His performances are so all over the place. I mean, I look at that Michelle Pereira fight and I'm like, I think that was probably more Michelle Pereira than Abus. You know, that was just Michelle, like, being stuck in the mud. And so I don't know really to give him any credit there. And then, I mean, Abus, his cardio can be so all over the place. Like, he's been grappling and looking decent there. But then you have the weird gas against Sean Strickland, who's not even, like, you know, all he's doing is just, you know, sparring with you. You know, obviously pushing forward, but still. And so with this one, I think I think Abus is going to be the minute winner here. I think Abus by points at plus 500 is great value. And I think what will happen, though, is I think Pyfer eventually catches him. So I like Pyfer by KO. I think those are kind of the two. I think there's, you kind of got to play those separately, because there's the specials are on the DraftKings, like it's minus like 130 or something for a boost by points and Pyfer by KO. So I don't think that's a great way to play it. So I'm probably just going to play both of those separate and just kind of enjoy that, because I don't know, I don't see how Pyfer wins a decision here. I just feel like it's gonna, Pyfer's eventually gonna connect early on, and if he doesn't, I think Abus kind of, pours it on later.
Yeah, I agree. I think this price is, in hindsight, I think this price is gonna look short, and I think he's gonna have no problem covering this price. People like MMA fans and people that bet, even people that bet the sport, are so fickle and like become so delusional with like recency bias. You know what I'm saying? And because you don't like what a guy says, or you don't like his personality, or he has like a performance that maybe didn't cash your tickets, now you just want to, just absolutely lie on this man's name. You know what I'm saying? I've heard people say this week that Abus has better cardio than Joe. Blasphemy. You know what I'm saying? Like, just absolute blasphemy. Like, okay, so, and the reason people are pointing these things out, right? Like, oh, he went to decision. Michelle Pereira, he looked decent in that fight, and I agree, he looked decent. But like Scar said, Michelle Pereira did close to nothing in that fight, and we've seen that performance age like absolute fucking milk. You know what I'm saying? It's making Scar want to take a shot. That's how bad that performance was. It just aged like absolute milk. You know what I'm saying? And then the Bruno Ferreira fight. Oh, he's dominating as the fight plays out, and he subs him in round 3, bro. Bruno's a round 1 or bust fighter. Like, you know what I'm saying? So the fact that Abus was able to kind of even so slightly outpace him and be able to get in these dominant positions, that doesn't surprise me. Like, Bruno's gonna KO you in round 1, or shit is gonna get sketchy and he's gonna lose fights. And now people are just jumping out the window with, love for a boost and just hate for Joe. I think it's going to be very hard to wrestle and grapple Joe in this matchup. I think Joe's going to be very, very powerful, much more powerful than a boost is going to be. The physicality, I think, is on another level with Joe. More power in his hands. I think way more durable. You know what I'm saying? Better cardio than a boost. So I agree. I think he's going to catch him. I think he's going to knock a boost the fuck out. It just feels like Joe is kind of due, right? Like, it felt like he was kind of due in the MAB fight, and he got it done. And now it just feels like he's kind of due to just remind people that, I'm going to knock out people that are chinny and maybe want to strike a little bit too much for me. And we've seen a boost do a lot of that. Want to strike, get lost in the pocket, trying to brawl it out with dudes. And if he wants to wrestle early, be my guest. I think he's going to gas himself out even more, and that might lead to a Joe, round 2 KO instead of a round 1 KO. So, Joe KO plus 135, it's a disgusting price. But again, at high side, I think it's going to look like value. So I like Joe. I'm going to be playing Joe. Joe KO props, Joe finish props. I'm not too mad at Joe by sub. You're getting a big number, plus 600. I'm not too mad at that either. So just a strong man, something strong, man. It could be club and sub. It could be, oh, you're trying to take me down. Now I'm going to end up on top because I'm stronger than you, and maybe put you in a fucking arm triangle or something like that. Maybe it's something along those lines. So I like Joe a lot in this spot. I think he covers his price, justifies his price, and catches a body.
I think it's going to be interesting, too. I think this fight kind of goes a little bit longer, too, because I think Abus will try doing, he won't take him down, but he'll be in that clinch zone. So we're going to see maybe some stalling there. On FanDuel, you can do Pfeiffer to win and Boost just to have 20 strikes in the whole fight. And that's even money. I feel like if, you're seeing more of a close, the taps and everything, if he doesn't, I think a Boost gets 20 strikes in probably like 3 minutes, 3-4 minutes. So I don't mind that either. And if in parlays, you wanted kind of a safety parlay that I feel like Pfeiffer finish only at minus 340. I think is a very safe leg. I don't see a world where a Boost finishes Pfeiffer unless it's just a death gas. So, I mean, if you wanted something safe to kind of parlay with a couple other, like, for sure legs,
I agree with that. I think it plays out kind of different. I think a Boost is going to be very hesitant early on, and it's going to be a little bit, because Joe starts that way too. He's very hesitant and trying to get his read. So, because of that, I think I agree. I think it does play out a little bit later, even if it's like end of round 1 or late round 1 or something like that. I think we do kind of get a filling up process. I think a Boost is just going to be very hesitant and scared of the power, to be honest, and eventually trying desperately to fucking to reach for legs. So
yeah, it could be very similar to that Olberg Reyes fight where he's going to be just and then he doesn't know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Dom looked kind of scared and hesitant, and then one of the first times he opens up, he didn't really open up. He just didn't really see, and just
he just could not get that range, and he could see it, and you could just feel it. Where you were just like, oh, dude, I might die right here. And I mean, Pfeiffer's going to be a lot bigger than a Boost too. So,
as he usually is. So I'm saying the strength and the physicality is going to be a lot too. All right, let's move on. Josh Emmett going against Yusuf Zalal. Zalal, massive favorite. Has continued to get steamed throughout the last couple of days. Zalal minus 510. I'm seeing some minus 4. It's kind of all over the place, man. Minus 450s I'm seeing, but nonetheless, massive favorite. Best comeback on Josh is plus 400, plus 410. Excuse me. Scar, this is an interesting fight, man. I love Yusuf Zalal. Gotta give it to the man. Gotta tip your cap. Cut from the UFC, comes back a much better fighter and just possesses elite skills, man. Like, you can try to poke holes in the resume. Oh, he kind of ran away in round 3 versus Cater and all of that shit. But still, very dangerous in there, man. Very good submission grappler. Very dangerous on the feet. Very fast. Very accurate. Amazing cardio, man. Just good minute winning abilities. Good moment winning abilities. Just a lot to like with Yusuf, man. I love him as a fighter. I love him as a prospect in his division. Not enough great things to say about Yusuf, man. But with that said, the man is minus 500. And the man is minus 500 versus, yes, the man is 41 years old, but a man in Josh Emmett who looks and sounds to be in the best shape of his career, is inherently dangerous anytime you step in the cage with him, has proven that he can, swing fights, swing moments, swing rounds. And if Yusuf is going to be consistently in the business of giving away rounds, then those are rounds we'll take. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're going to run away thinking you won a round or won 2 rounds, then we'll take those rounds. If I'm a massive plus 300, plus 350 dog, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see you giving up rounds as a minus 500 favorite. So if you want to give me rounds and then maybe some of these rounds are point fighting and then Emmett is just throwing bigger, right? Maybe not even fully landing on Zalal because Zalal is very hard to land on, and I think the footwork is going to be a massive problem for Emmett. But he's going to be swinging big. Maybe he lands big a couple times, and maybe those couple times are enough. You know what I'm saying? Maybe a judge says, yo, this one sequence was enough for me because all Zalal was doing was, point fighting you the whole time. So I don't know. I'm kind of stuck, bro. I really am. The number makes me want to bet Josh, even though I don't think Josh is going to win this fight. I think Josh is slow. I think he's going to be too slow, too old, not enough footwork, not good enough footwork, not fast enough footwork to be able to keep up with a guy like Zalal, man. Zalal is sun running right now, in the prime of his career, and I just don't see Emmett stopping that train. And I think it's a name that the UFC wants to put on Zalal's resume, right? Let's put a former he challenged for the title, right? I'm not fucking that up, right? Emmett
lost to.
I might be fucking that up. I don't know, but
he lost to Yair, and I think Yair then got the title shot.
Okay, yeah. So nonetheless, a perennial top 5, top 10 guy, and just put that resume on Yusuf Zalal. Put that name on Yusuf Zalal's resume. I think that's what we get here. But it's these prices, man. It's these prices. Like, hold on. So let me look to see if it changed. I looked like an hour ago, and it was still. So Josh Emmett by KO is plus 700. Like, I know it's probably not going to happen, but it's Josh Emmett. Josh Emmett by points, plus 900. Like, that's what I really like. Josh Emmett by points. I don't see a world that Josh is really finishing Zalal. I think he's tough to hit, like I said. So, I don't know. I think this fight is so interesting from a fight fan perspective. But from a betting perspective, I think it's kind of tough, man. Like, I'm really interested in the Emmett side. I just don't know if I'm going to pull the trigger. It's a massive price. So, how can you go wrong? Zalal, subbing him in 1-2, like Emmett's pretty hard to sub, man. Like I don't think he's just easy peasy. Like even if Zalal gets on his back, I don't think it's easy peasy you're gonna sub Josh Emmett. So I don't know, man. I don't know. Josh Emmett plus 3.5. Like I don't know. Those are my general thoughts. I don't really have any action.
If you're gonna play Josh, I feel like that plus 5.5 at minus 130 or the plus 3.5 plus 100. That's gonna be.
Yeah, I want to get the plus money. That's what I'm saying. Like I know those are safer bets, but I want to risk less and it be higher odds. You know what I'm saying?
I think it's just the exact same thing we saw with Cater, in the sense of, 3-4 years ago, this is Emmett that was fighting Yair, or causing problems. I think this could be a crazy fight. Zalal's going through it, struggling, but now you're going to have Zalal. He's going to be faster. He's just going to be, and then he has the grappling if he wants to use it. I don't think he will. I think it's just going to be, he's going to be striking and just going to be faster. I think Emmett's going to be looking for that right hand. The problem with Emmett is that's all he has. He's looking for that big punch, and he's never kind of gotten to that point of, where, hey, I need to, become a fully developed striker to become like, a Volk or somebody that can really push that champion. He's a great top 10 guy, don't get me wrong, but you're looking at a guy with Yusuf Zalal that's really just getting better each fight and, never been finished. So that's like, this isn't the best matchup for Emmett at all. I think Zalal by unanimous decision. Again, we're going back to it. I think that's a great way. I think it's around that same price as well. And then Fanatics has that same thing where it's round 2 to start and Zalal. I think it's under minus 200. Again, a great, price. On FanDuel, you can do Zalal most significant strikes and 20 Emmett strikes for even money. Again, I think Emmett's going to be in this for a little bit. If Emmett or Zalal does win, I think it's a sub. But again, as you mentioned, I don't see Zalal subbing him. Emmett, it would have to be like Emmett quits, on the ground and just kind of like wants to get out of there. Which
that's not going to fucking happen.
Which Emmett would never do because he's just a dog. So I think it's just one of those ones. Zalal wins the first 2 rounds. He's, is the line wide? Yes, but after round 1, he's probably going to be a minus 1,000. You know, maybe Emmett catches him in the round one, steals the first round, but then Zalal just wins the next two. So I think you're, at best, it's 29-28 at best. So I think this one's going to be pretty straightforward in that sense.
Yeah, I agree. Let's move on. Amazing fight here, man. Khalil Roundtree against Yuri Prohaska. Yuri minus 200, minus 195. Come back on Khalil. It's plus 170. So, Scar, I'll kick this one off. I'm pretty confident about this one. This is one of my more confident plays. I bet Yuri at minus 170 on the money line. I also bet Yuri 2-3 sub at 25-1. It's a massive number. Don't need it to hit too much. I don't think it's the most likely outcome of this fight, but it's 25-1, and I think there's path to getting there. Just another spot where I want to sell high on Khalil. You know, Khalil has never possessed and never been a championship top 5 level fighter. You know, we've seen him with amazing moments in the octagon. We've seen him just starching dudes so bad that you're like scared. You know what I'm saying? Like you're fearful for their health. You know what I'm saying? So he's given us some amazing moments as fans of the sport, and he's kind of reinvigorated his career since going to Thailand and kind of changing his style up a bit. So shout out to him. But he's never really been at this level. You know, it's no disrespect. I just think the guys at the top of this division are better and are going to pose problems for him. So even in a loss versus Pereira, like his stock went up, and by all means, like you put on a hell of a fight, you know, you walk through some fire, but he got finished in that fight, and he looked pretty bad like late in that fight. You know, he was a punching bag late in that fight, and you know, we've seen some of that be a theme in his career. I don't think his durability has ever been that good. I don't think his cardio has ever been that good. I don't think he's looked great on the back foot too much in his career, like versus pressure guys. And Yuri's gonna bring all of that, you know what I'm saying? So Khalil is a more of like a. I talked about this with somebody in chat a couple days ago. Like Khalil's like a rhythm fighter, you know. It's that Muay Thai kind of shit, you know. Like we're gonna trade and we're gonna be bouncy, and I'm gonna catch my rhythm, and I'm gonna get my distance and try to stay at kicking range and just dominate you and eventually land big shots. Yuri's not gonna give him those opportunities to get into a rhythm, I don't think. So, you know, yes, Yuri's been hurt a lot, but what can we count on Yuri for? To be a dog, to have elite recoverability, and to have elite durability. You know what I'm saying? I think he gets caught because it's a lot of offense and not a lot of defense. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that's a testament to. I don't think that's a knock on his durability why he's getting hurt. He's very hard to put away. You know, obviously the only got to do so being, you know, one of the most devastating strikers we've ever seen in Poatan. The guy's hard to put away, man. So do I think Khalil's going to land on him? Yes. Do I think Khalil's going to land big punches on him? Yes. Do I think Khalil may sneak a high kick in there that maybe has us worrying a little bit? Yes, for sure. Khalil's a dangerous striker, but I think Yuri has a lot more tools. I think if Yuri decides to wrestle, like I'm not hearing a lot of people talk about that. I don't know if they just don't think Yuri's going to wrestle, but yes, we can't count on Yuri to wrestle. He's a fucking madman, but if he does, Khalil's never been a good grappler, man. We've seen Khalil look very bad on his back, so hence why I'm playing 2-3 sub. You know, as Khalil starts to get tired, I truly think Yuri's going to break him, man. I think Yuri's going to break him rounds 2, rounds 3, whether it's via pressure, standing TKO, whether it's a knockdown TKO, or whether it's finding a sub on a gassed Khalil Roundtree. So I don't think his cardio is even that bad. I think he has problems the later the fight goes. You know, if you're deep waters in round 3, I don't think Khalil's looked amazing, but it's all about Yuri's style, man. So I think Yuri is a very skilled fighter, one of the most dangerous fighters in the UFC. Amazing cardio, those in his chest, amazing durability, and I think he's gonna show out, man. I think he's gonna show out. Another sell, what it seems to be like a sell high spot. You know, oh, he looked great versus Alex, and then he beat he beat Michelle, he beat Jamal Hill, right?
Jamal Hill.
Great, right? Oh, he beat Alex. Yeah, a great performance versus Alex, even though he got finished, and then he beat a former champion in Jamal. That's how the Khalil backers are making it sound like, even though Jamal has looked terrible and Jamal did absolutely nothing in that fight. I actually think it was a pretty lackluster performance from Khalil, to be honest. Like, I think in those positions, how bad Jamal looked, I think you should be finishing Jamal. Like, didn't Jamal come out double knee pads, right? And Jamal just looked terrible in that fight. So, sell high on Khalil. I think a lot of what we're seeing right now is just a sun run and a little bit of fool's gold. So, I had no hesitancy laying minus 170 on Yuri. Like I said, I played 2-3 sub. I may be looking to play maybe some 2-3 straight, because that as I really think that's how this fight plays out, is Yuri breaking him in 2-3. So yeah, passionate take. I love this bet. One of my bigger bets of the card. How do you feel, Scar?
Completely opposite.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah, no. So, but I will say there's a couple props that I'm going to say at the beginning here that I do think have crazy value. Round 2 to start is only minus 240, I think. I mean, I don't know if they've seen how these guys fight, but Yuri doesn't just come flying at you. He takes a minute to get going. You know, it's, as you said, that's why you're playing round 2, round 3. Yuri, I mean, even against Alex, both losses, it goes to round 2. It's not, you know, it takes him a while to get going. Roundtree, again, he's very closed guard. Like, he likes to counter. You know, he's not going to be pushing forward. Yuri does. But at the same time, I think you're going to see Yuri trying to do that more as the fight goes on. Where I struggle with this is, and I think this, I mean, again, I just think this should be closer odds. Do I think Yuri can win by knockout? Absolutely. But I do think you're telling me Roundtree by points at plus 500, the same odds as Yuri, is insane to me, because I don't think Yuri's Roundtree's win condition is that much KO related. I think it's more points related, because again, he doesn't have the power of Alex. But Roundtree does have good striking defense compared to Yuri, and I think he's going to be the minute winner at the first part of this fight. So I think where I'm going to see Roundtree, I think, steal round 1. I think then entering in Yuri round 2. Same thing happened with Rakic too, where you're going to get a much better line, and then Yuri's going to try and do what he does and, you know, start, you know, pushing forward. I just feel like, you know, with him doing that, that kind of fits in Roundtree's game a little bit more, where he can then counter and pick them apart and kind of leg kick and just do everything. You know, Roundtree isn't going to shoot at all, and I just don't think Yuri will. He has the capability to. I think we're kind of getting robbed here that this isn't a 5-round fight, because I think this would be an amazing 5-round fight. That sub prop you're talking about, I think, would come really into play in the 3-4-5.
I would have took out a fucking loan and put it on if it was a 5-round fight.
And I think it being a 3-round fight helps Roundtree immensely.
I agree.
I think so. You're giving me plus 500. I just don't see how it's that wide. I think Roundtree, you know, should be there. I think Yuri's. Let me see. I haven't checked this line yet, because Yuri's been kind of getting a lot of steam throughout the week. But it did open up as a pick'em on Bovada, which I thought was crazy, and then it's gone up to this. But Yuri plus 5.5, you know, he just needs to win 1 round and not get finished, minus 340. You know, I don't think that's bad as a parlay piece if you're trying to build like a safe builder as well. So, you know, I just think there's value on both sides. I think round 2 to start at minus 240 is a great parlay piece, though, too. So if you have something that, you know, where you're stuck at the minus 200 range and you want to get it down, boom, you throw that in. And again, I think, you know, Roundtree is going to be, you know, a great way to do it. Also, if you love Yuri, you do Khalil Roundtree 20 strikes and him to win, even money as well. So there's a lot of different ways if you're on one side or the other here where I think you can get value.
Yeah, I like taking advantage of a negative correlation. I like that look. Yeah, I like that we're on opposite sides. I love that shit. That's what shows like this all about. With that said, loser leaves town. Loser is kicked off the show. Just so you know that.
Oh, you know, it's a robbery at the end there too.
Yeah. All right, co-main event of the evening, bantamweight belt on the line. Amazing fight, man. Merab Dvalishvili defending his belt once again versus Sandman Corey Sandhagen. Merab minus 400, minus 430 at some places. Come back on Corey plus 300, plus 325. I do have action in this fight. I just want to make sure. Okay, so I play this fight a couple ways. I have Corey Sandhagen plus 9.5, minus 160. I just sprinkled Sandhagen money line plus 310 to win a unit. I have Sandhagen by decision plus 650, and just a very small sprinkle on Sandhagen by split 18-1. Yes, I played money line, decision, all of that stuff. We're looking to hit the plus 9.5. If we hit the plus 9.5, we profit decent enough in this fight. That's what I'm looking for, man. I think Corey can get that done. Obviously, that's a much safer and, you know, cowardly way to play it, plus 9.5. But I think it's going to look like extreme value even at minus 160, man. The fact that we're getting a line like this for Corey just to win a round, as skillful as he is, and so yes, that's what we're looking for. We're looking for the fight to be even a smidge close, and we hit that bet and we profit. But with that said, I do think Corey has a lot of equity in this fight, man. Like, first of all, Merab is consistently in the business of giving up rounds. We've seen that from the moment he stepped in the UFC. He's not a guy that is opposed to just giving up rounds. Even recently, we saw it in the Sean fight where I thought he lost 2 rounds. We saw it in that Umar fight. He lost 2 rounds in that fight on the actual judges' cards, not even in my opinion. And Corey's same kind of prototype, right? I think Corey can win early rounds in this fight. Merab, I don't put a lot of stock into what fighters say, especially Merab. Merab is just like an alien the way he thinks. He's an absolute madman. So who knows? But I kind of do believe him. He's talked about it so much, and he's taken offense to a lot of things that fans and the media have said about him and his career. So I could see him wanting to prove a point. He said over and over again that he wants to strike with Corey, and even if that's the case, like for half of this fight, and then Merab says, "Okay, let's dominate now." I'll take 12 and a half minutes. Are you trying to strike with Corey? Just give us rounds. So I think Corey can bank some of these rounds. Obviously, Corey is elite from distance. How much distance is he gonna have in this fight? Probably not a lot. Corey has amazing cardio, elite cardio, but nobody's out cardioing Merab. So I don't want to try to check that off as a positive box on Corey's side, but I just think what that means is that he won't get absolutely dominated in the later rounds. You know what I'm saying? I do think Merab will pour it on. I do think Merab will eventually be Merab and do Merab things and probably win the later rounds in this fight. But who's to say Corey can also steal later rounds in this fight? We saw slowed down version, round 5 version of Sean O'Malley do it. Call it fluky, whatever the case is, but Merab has shown more than once to be kind of soft to the body. You know what I'm saying? So it's tough to hurt Merab. It's tough to finish Merab, but we've seen that multiple times now, but Merab getting hurt to the body. So, Corey is an elite striker. We've seen kind of a different kind of style, more, I would say a little bit safer style over his last couple fights. I don't really know what that's about. I kind of want him to be a little wild in this fight, If he gets taken down, I believe he can get up. I believe in his scrambling abilities. I believe in his wrestling abilities. So who's the better wrestler? Yes, Merab is the better offensive wrestler. Merab has never had the best top control, hence why he's, getting 50 takedowns, in fights. So I just trust in Corey's abilities to feel like this line is way too wide. Plus 310 is what I got. Still sitting around there. I just think the line is too wide. I think Corey's too skillful for a line like this. If Merab continues to do Merab things and all of that shit, cool. Yes, Merab is coming off a finish, and I also took Sean's spread in that fight that he got finished in. So yes, we're trying to fade.
We did a show for that one too. We were talking about Sean.
Did we?
Yeah, we were talking about Sean and the spread and how it should be there.
I thought it was an absolute lock. You know what I'm saying? And then he gets fucking finished. So obviously we're avoiding that. But Corey's such a better wrestler and grappler than guys like Sean. Merab brought up the Peter Yan fight. He's like, I dealt with strikers before. I dealt with Peter Yan. I dealt with Jose Aldo. I dealt with all of these guys. They didn't do shit to me. So you think you're gonna do something to me on the feet? Come on, bro. You shot 50 times in the Peter Yan fight. And Corey Sandhagen is a much different stylistic matchup than guys like Jose Aldo and Umar Nurmagomedov. He's just so much more versatile, so much more unorthodox with his striking, way better footwork in my opinion. So big cage, which I think helps, a guy like Corey just like it does Sean. So yeah, I just think the line is too wide. I think he's too skillful. I think that's long story short. So give me plus 9.5. We profit, but to win a unit on the money line, decision split, I like those as longer shot props to hopefully end the night with a bang or end this fight, co-main event with a bang. So that's how I feel. I like Corey at the price. How do you feel, bro?
Yeah, I mean, this is just it's a weird fight in the sense of how far that line has gotten. Again, you have a guy that, no offense to Merab, but I mean, some of these lines are showing it like Merab's a finisher for some reason, and I'm like, I don't get it. Like, I think I was talking in the chat like a week or so ago because they dropped lines early, and like Corey Sandhagen sub only is at plus 325, you know, to Merab minus 450. That's shocking to me because I think Corey's one of the best people on the ground that Merab's faced. You know, his ability with his length and his ability to scramble, I don't think Merab's gonna have a chance. He's not going to quit like Sean did. He's way more mentally tough. I think Corey's also going to be one of the smartest fighters that Merab's going to fight. So I think 49-46, 48-47 is probably what's going to happen. But for value-wise, you already touched it. That's Corey by split decision is insane. You got a guy who's control, not a lot of damage. Then you got a guy who's going to, optics-wise, with the length and everything, you know, it's gonna be closer rounds. So that split is totally gonna be on the table. You just need one judge to go rogue, which we see all the time. So I think this goes to decision. I think the over 4.5 is great. I think Merab, I think Bet365 is the only one that has it. FanDuel has it in some states, but you can do Merab most sig strikes, Corey most, Merab most total strikes, Corey most sig strikes. That's a great parlay. Like, I feel like Merab's going to get all those bullshit strikes on the ground or just in the clinch, but Corey on the feet's going to be, you know, just a little bit more aggressive. Or you can just parlay Merab over 1.5 in most strikes. I think that's like minus 180 or something. So there's a lot of different ways to do this. I just think, as you mentioned, that the 9.5's good. I'm probably going to play the 13.5, you know, just because I feel like that. There's always a judge that wants to throw a 50-45 in there for some dumb reason.
If Corey's not getting 50-45, bro, I refuse to believe it, bro. I refuse to believe that.
Umar got 150-45, and then that would bust the 9.5. But I mean, again, I think Merab. I think this is also a fight that, you know, if Corey steals round 1 or looks good before Merab starts get going, and you get Merab down closer to even money, I would fire on that all day. Because
100%.
I think Merab's just gonna, you know, I think what we see in these later rounds is Merab, you know, you saw it with Umar where Merab realized, okay, I gotta go. But in these other fights where he knows he's winning, that's when he gives up those rounds. So if Corey can steal round 1 and we get something closer to even money, which totally can happen, I think Merab, you know, live bet will be a freaking, that's where you put the house on, because then I think you're going to get a motivated Merab, and I just don't know how Corey's going to be able to keep up with that. I just think it's just going to be too exhausting. Even though Corey has good cardio and everything, I think, you know, it's just going to be exhausting getting up, because I think Corey's stand-up game is good enough where he's going to constantly scramble. I don't think Merab's going to be able to hold him down like he was with Sean and some of these other guys that kind of just accept it. And Peter Yan was also kind of tinier too. He shows great, you know, ability to get up, but he also was kind of, you know, getting dumped a lot. I feel like with Corey, he's going to be able to balance and kind of stay upright for longer periods. And I think it might bother Merab a little bit. So, yeah, I mean, Merab by decision, I think, is what prediction-wise, but I think the value is there on Corey all day.
I like it. Great fight in the co-main, bantamweight belt on the line. But without further ado, let's move to the main event. Before we do, if you like the video, make sure to like the video, man. Subscribe to the GoldBoys YouTube channel. We're going to be pumping out a lot of content across a variety of different sports. So like the video, really helps us out, helps the channel out. And hopefully you guys are enjoying the video, finding value in the video. But like I said, one more fight to go. The main event of the evening, rematch in the light heavyweight division for the strap. Alex Porton Pereira against Magomed Ankalaev. Big odds shift this time around. Magomed, sizable favorite, minus 255, minus 270. Comeback on Alex, plus 215, plus 220 at some books. So yeah, man, great fight. Gonna be a great fight again. What do you think, Scar?
Yeah, I mean, I will say I was kind of more on Magomed heavily, but Alex looks good at the weigh-ins, man. He looks motivated, which is kind of crazy because I was thinking, you know, he's kind of cooked mentally. He's been doing all this stuff around. Like, if you looked at what he's been doing everywhere and around the world, you're like, dang, I feel like he's kind of checked out. I feel like, you know, we're kind of getting the decline of Alex. You know, he's at 38, you know, and everything like that. But then you see him now and you're like, maybe. That round 1 only money line at plus 155, I don't know how Magomed's more likely to finish in that first round than Alex, I would feel like that should be even money. I think that's a great one to dump some money on. I think Magomed in round 2 to start, even money. I think that's the way to play it. I'm still going to stick with my Magomed initial prediction. But I also think violence is here. I mean, this is a rematch. We've seen it with Izzy. We've seen it in these rematches where, you know, people, they have their read already on them, so they're going to be more comfortable, and then they go. There's no way Alex is going to sit there. If he sits there and does the exact same thing we see that he did in the first fight, then what did you do? What did you waste the camp for? So, like, I feel like he's going to go. With Magomed, does he do the takedowns, or does he focus completely on striking? If he has, Alex pushing on his front foot, that's what Alex needs to do to look good in this fight. He can't be going backwards. Whoever's going forward, I think, wins this fight. But I think violence, fight into KOs, even money. Sometimes Magomed doesn't have that finishing instinct, but I think Alex is going to say, I'm knocking you out or I'm getting knocked out. So my bet's going to be Magomed in round 2 to start, and I'm going to probably do that round 1. But I do think the hot rounds, if you bet round 2 KO for either fighter, or round 3 KO, or even Magomed round 2, 3 KO, I think Magomed KO is like plus 300 almost. Those are great value bets for something that is a light heavyweight fight, which is technically the most violent division actually in the UFC. Ironically, I think flyweight's second. But I think that's going to be, where the value is on this one. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, you touched on both of my bets already. Fight doesn't go, minus 135, and then fight to end by KO, minus 105. I played both of those, and yeah, I mean, you touched on a lot of key points that I had. I think that's a good breakdown. First of all, it's a light heavyweight fight, and we're getting fight doesn't go at close to even money, and we're getting fight to end by KO at even money in a light heavyweight fight. So that's first of all. Second of all, it is a rematch, and like you said, these guys have had 25 minutes to kind of fill each other out. I think a lot of the first fight is, one, you mentioned all the extracurricular shit for Alex. I think it's a couple things, right? Yes, I don't think, if you're vacationing and traveling across the world, obviously you're not in the gym as much. I mean, that's not up for debate. You're physically not in the gym as much as you probably were in the past if you're doing all these things. And then two, I think Ankalaev is just that good, right? When he's in the cage and shit is starting to not, Ankalaev's pressuring him heavy and on the front foot. I just think the minutes kind of melted off the clock faster than Alex kind of thought, if that makes any sense. You know what I'm saying? And now we're in round 3, we're in round 4. He's like, fuck, like I'm down 3 rounds. You know what I'm saying? And we started to see him pick it up a bit, but very lackluster performance in my opinion. Like, I think Ankalaev is really, really fucking good, but I also kind of think it was a lackluster performance. So with that being said, like you said, rematches rarely go the way the initial fight went. And I think this is another example of that. I think there's 2 of the most skilled light heavyweights on the planet, right? Usually that leads to a pretty volatile fight and a lot of different ways. Let's say there's 100 different ways this fight could play out if they fought 100 different times. I think we just so happened to get one of those times that it went to decision, Magomed, couple ways I think this fight can play out differently, right? Magomed hurt Alex, I think twice, like hurt him pretty bad in that fight, right? That can happen again, but this time maybe Alex gets finished, right? Alex landed over 40 leg kicks in that fight, right? As you know, Scar, watching a ton of MMA, it only take one of them motherfuckers to really shut you down, right?
Yeah,
so
Blachowicz did it really.
Exactly. So Magomed has never been a guy that checks leg kicks well. You got kicked 40 times in the calf in the first fight. Maybe that can lead to trouble, and finishes in this fight. Ankalaev going 0 for 12 on takedowns. Like, how likely is that again? How likely is he ever going to shoot 12 takedowns on anybody and not get at least one? And if he gets 1, if he gets 2, if he gets 3, can he not dominate on the ground? Whether it's positionally, wrist riding and punching his face in, subbing him, I think that's likely. And then probably the most important thing, like in terms of different iterations of this fight, can be Alex landed devastating shots, bro. Like, if you look at Alex, 2 years ago, if I said, yo, we're going to get a fight where Alex is plus 250, you would have smacked me in my face and think I was like a witch, right? And you would have been like, yo, no way, you know what I'm saying? And now we're getting, a plus 200 line. We're getting plus 300 on Alex KO. Like, Alex KO 1, 2, 3 is probably, 5 to 1 or something like that? You would have never thought we would get these prices a couple years ago, but I think that's a large portion of how this fight can go differently. Alex being more aggressive, Alex landing shots and hurting Ankalaev. Ankalaev is tough to finish, man. Right? Tough to beat, tough to hurt, tough to finish, you know? So I'm not saying it's going to be hard, but I'm not saying it's going to be easy. But just so many different ways I think we get violence, man. One leg kick, one takedown, one back take, right? One left hook from Poatan, right?
I mean, you saw with that Johnny Walker Ming Yang Zhang fight, Johnny was getting his head punched in, and then boom, one leg kick, boom.
Yeah, exactly. Can change fights, especially, you know, we know Poatan to be one of the most devastating calf kickers in the history of the sport. So it can be mistakes from other guys too. I feel like, I don't know about you, I feel like Ankalaev close to a perfect fight in round one. I mean, in the first fight. You know, and I think that's
I think the problem here too is with Alex, at least, it's just a bad matchup for Alex. Like when you look at fighters that are gonna beat, like if you're gonna mold a fighter to beat, you know, Pereira, it's gonna be a Magomed Ankalaev, someone who just keeps range and he fights very defensively, but also does enough, you know, to make you uncomfortable. And then he's also fighting southpaw too, which I think messes with Alex too, because he's got the better footwork, and it's just, I just think it stifles him, and he doesn't know how to get going.
yeah, like I could see that, and a guy who's, like you said too, I think can take punches and it's pretty tough and hard to put away. I could see that being a tough style for Alex too, but I don't think it's the worst possible style. You know, I think the worst possible style is a guy that is the same thing, can eat punches, is pretty tough and durable, and that can just absolutely wrestle fuck him and choke him out every single time. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think Ankalaev can necessarily do that, right? I don't think Ankalaev's ever really had like elite wrestling, and I don't think his
no, it's just more
aggressiveness has ever been
control. There. Like he does it to mix in stuff. He's not doing it like, not like Merab's sense, but like he's doing it more just to, like, you know, mix it up. I never get the feeling like, you know, he's doing it to like, hey, I'm gonna mash you on the ground. You know?
Yeah, and I'm not trying to like poke holes in him, because Ankalaev is an elite fighter. He's the fucking champ. Like, he is so good, bro. He is so fucking good. And that's why I'm opting for violence instead of playing Alex at this number. I'm not gonna lie though, if fight time comes and we're watching this card and we're seeing Ankalaev get steamed for some reason, I do think it's more likely that Alex gets steamed by the casuals. But if the parlay boys come in and Alex gets steamed to like plus 300, I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna have a hard time not playing them. But yeah, long story short, I like violence. I think we just get, it's so, like I said, if they fight 100 times, you might get 100 different endings to this fight. I think a large chunks of those endings happen violently, you know what I'm saying, and we cash under. So yeah, man, fight not to go minus 135, fight to end by KO minus 105. I'm also looking at Ankalaev by sub 10-1.
Okay.
I'm just saying, you know what I'm saying? I know I just
disrespected him, man. By the way, I'm dropping this at the end.
I know, I just disrespected him crazy. I know, but the number's crazy, and if he gets Alex's back, okay, all bets are off. So I'm just saying,
I can see it where. So one question mark, you know, we're both in agreement. He hasn't been in the gym probably as much as he should have. He's getting older. If this is more of a volatile fight and they've kind of gassed themselves early on, I think that round 4, round 5 sub definitely comes into play. I mean, I think Alex is just his win condition is all gonna be in those early rounds. I feel like, you know, he needs to catch him early. I just don't see a world where Alex wins by decision in this one.
I think, I mean, personally, I think Alex can knock him out at any round. You know, I truly think that. It takes one shot, and I know Ankalaev's tough as fuck, but yeah, people are talking this week like Alex can't KO him, man. I think that's Alex can KO a fucking giraffe, you know, a horse. You know what I'm saying? So I just think that's ridiculous.
That round 1, hey, by the way, that round 1 money line is still insane to me. Like, you can't tell me that Magomed.
Yeah, I don't see Ank finishing round 1. I don't see that at all.
But
yeah, man, that'll do it. I think we're pretty much in agreement. Violence, I like your best too, and you know, we agreed on a lot, we disagreed on some, and I think that's the beauty of doing shows like this. So yeah, man, like we said, it's been a while since we've done this. We're happy to be back. UFC 320 goes down Saturday night. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys found a ton of value, and most importantly, I hope you guys make money. Whether you're tailing us, whether you're making your own bets, I hope you guys kill it for UFC 320. Scar, any closing thoughts before we get the people out of here?
Hey, keep to your units and enjoy this freaking card, because it's going to be a good one. This one is going to be a good one. It's a long betting day, so make sure you just lock in from start to finish.
Yes, sir. I love it. Shout out producer Kai. We appreciate you. Like I said before, if you guys enjoyed, please like the video, subscribe to the GoldBoys YouTube channel. We're putting in a lot of work behind the scenes. And if you're interested in, joining one of the best groups in the world with a ton of content, a ton of valuable insight, some of the best cappers in the world, then hit up GoldBoys on Twitter. Go to GoldBoys.com. If you hit up GoldBoys on Twitter, we'll be happy to give you a nice little full discount for your first month. So shout out to GoldBoys, and hit us up if you're interested. So Scar, that does it for us. That does it for both of us. We hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you next time. Peace.